Oh boy! The new Persona game has finally been released! I can't wait to have fun adventures with my new friends, solving Scooby-Doo-esque mysteries, and having a great time! Oh,
What's all this about? Seriously, I'm gonna call the cops!
look guys, can't we just talk about this? Hi everyone, Trent here with my review of Persona 5. Now if you're a regular reader at 01gaming.com, or you followed me on Twitter, or you've been around me for more than a few seconds over the last several years, you've probably caught on to the fact that I'm a pretty big fan of this series. I wasn't just riding this hype train, I was the goddamn conductor. I waited through years of development and numerous delays to reach this point where I can finally tell you exactly how I feel about Persona 5. And how do I feel? Well, I think it can be best summed up with YAY! Anyway, I will start off by saying that there won't be any spoilers in this review. Any of the footage you're going to see is going to be from the very first dungeon, and I won't go into too much detail of things past then. I might mention the odd character here and there, but I want you to, if you have the chance, go into this as fresh as possible to get the best possible experience. Honestly, this is just too good a game to risk being spoilered for it. For those of you who don't know, or aren't familiar with the series, Persona 5 is the latest game in the Shin Megami Tensei spin-off series that dates back to 1996. Since then, Persona has become a success in its own right, generating spin-offs of its own, and becoming a fan favorite of JRPGs around the world. In fact, I would go on to say that the series has become one of the best RPGs, Japanese or otherwise, being produced today, with several of the entries ranking among the best of all time. They typically follow a silent protagonist as he navigates an urban fantasy world set in Japan, complete with monsters, demons, world-ending apocalypses, and crazy anime battles. However, between these moments he'll need to pass his exams, make friends with a colorful cast of characters, and of course, find love. Because there is always time to find love. Persona 5 takes everything that has been built up within the series' 21-year history and refines it beautifully. Set in a vibrant Tokyo, complete with the sights and sounds you only get in one of the world's greatest cities, the game is stylish without being too flashy or overbearing. Many scenes feel ripped directly from the pages of a great manga or anime, from the red outlines that show up after battles to the chaotic visuals of your party's all-out attacks. The style is consistent and beautiful. Now, that's not to say the game has sterling graphics. Even the PS4 version can't hold a candle to something like The Witcher 3 or even The Last of Us from the PS3 generation. It just isn't going to win any awards for photorealism. However, that's not why you play a Persona game. You're looking for something that feels like an anime that you can interact with, that you can drive the story. You play it for the characters and the story, and that's where this game really shines through. Again, I promise, no spoilers. However, it'd be silly of me not to talk a little bit about some of the themes of this story. It's a story about resistance, about rebellion, about pursuing what is right regardless of what the consequences are.
You pissed me off!
You play as a group of teenagers, burdened with the power to change the world. But you've been tasked with averting a great ruin, which will overwhelm everything you know unless you rise up to oppose those in a position of authority. This is about the importance of resistance, even when it feels the whole world is set against you. Because if you don't stand up to the evil of the world, who will? Now, I don't know about you, but for some reason this really resonated with me and I'm not sure why. And we're moving swiftly on. The plot is played out in a non-linear storytelling device, which sees you start out at the end of the game in a police interrogation room being questioned by a prosecuting attorney. You are, after all, the leader of the mysterious Phantom Thieves, and have been threatened with all manner of charges if you don't tell your side of the story, specifically if you don't sell out the rest of your party. You then flash back to the previous year, and how you got to that point makes up the bulk of the gameplay. Now, I have to say that I am a big fan of this narrative structure. It's a brave move by Atlus, but one that I think ultimately pays off in the end. The suspense grows every time you go back and forth between the interrogation room and your current place in the adventure. How did you get there? What happened to make your plan fall apart? How will you get yourself out of this mess? And, most importantly, which of your friends potentially sold you out? Which is something that's hinted in the opening cutscene. The storytelling in this game is absolutely phenomenal, with a great mix of comic relief to lighten that really heavy moments that come up and punch you in the gut. How heavy are we talking? Well, your first enemy is a teacher who has physically abused and sexually harassed students to the point where one student attempts suicide in front of the rest of the student body. He's also blackmailing a female student for sex and has broken a student's leg in order to end his track career. So yeah, things get a bit dark. If you were expecting the lighthearted tone of Persona 4 to continue, I'm afraid you're out of luck. All of this happens within the first couple of hours of gameplay, and even from this dark opening, the story escalates. With great pacing and plenty of comic relief, like I mentioned, to keep you from spending the last half of the game feeling like you just watched Grave of the Fireflies, wanting to put a gun in your mouth. It's a much more mature tone even for this series. In fact, maybe it's because the game is set in Tokyo, and these characters come from the city, but they feel a lot more grounded than they did in the small town of Persona 4, even when you count the inclusion of Morgana the talking cat. Honestly though, I would say this game is a masterclass in video game storytelling, setting a perfect pace for the plot they wanted to tell. Now, like any good mystery, there are plenty of big twists in this game. Some of them you will be able to see coming from a mile away, that's just a natural part of any story. Some of them will be hidden, and when they reveal themselves, you will find yourself absolutely gobsmacked, unless you've been spoiled. No spoilers here, I promise. But some of the decisions Atlus makes in this game are so ballsy, they play on your entire perception of what a Persona game is, as well as the direction any narrative is going to take. All of it culminating in a final boss fight that is actually my new favorite battle in all of video game history. It tested my party to their absolute limit, using every bit of health, every item, and every bit of magic I had available to me, before culminating in a visual spectacle that made it all worthwhile. While we're on the subject of combat, combat in this game is the one area where they didn't stray too far away from what its predecessor and its predecessor before that did. This is turn-based combat, something we've all come to know and love over the years. You can pick and choose what you want to do without worried about getting interrupted. However, I do have a bit of a word of warning for you. This may be a classic combat system, but it is also incredibly unforgiving. Make even one mistake, and an early dungeon can cause an entire party wipe. Push your party too hard, and you could face the very real possibility of running out of magic and healing items midway through a dungeon and losing all of your hard-earned progress. Again, that stylized look and feel of the game is present in the combat. It is sleeker, it's faster, it's a better version of the system we've used in previous games. It moves fast when you want it to, with many things able to be done with just the push of a button rather than going through a lot of menus or anything like that. You can just hit triangle to call your persona, hit X to attack, that kind of stuff. It's much faster. However, there is a bit of a twist this time around. Every single monster you come across can be captured, should you manage to get it down to a low enough health, or knock it down by attacking its weaknesses. In fact, this is your best way to bolster your roster of personas, the creatures that attack with magic and more powerful physical attacks than your puny mortal form can manage. So if you're eager to catch that giant penis monster riding on a chariot, you know what you have to do. Yeah, things get a little bit weird. When you're not fighting your way through palaces trying to steal the distorted desires of those in power to cause them to realize the error of their ways, you'll be attending school, flirting with your classmates, and forging bonds which will strengthen your personas in battle and give you access to new and exciting top-tier personas later in the game. This is where the heart of the game is, and it is where you'll spend a lot of your free time. There are a lot of great characters in this game, from the gung-ho Ryuji to the super serious Yusuke to the frightening but also sexy in it. I'm not sure if I'm scared or turned on, but either way I'm excited kind of way Makoto. There's an emotional core to everyone's story, one that you'll really enjoy delving into. And while Persona 4 boasts some of my favorite character interactions of all time, I have to say that 5 has the stronger cast overall. Now, early reviews of Persona 5 boasted that it was the best game in the series so far, and to be honest, I kinda have to agree. Once again, Atlus have created a superb game with a great setting, beautiful pacing, fantastic characters, and a catchy, jazz-inspired J-pop soundtrack that just works its way into your brain. This game works because it isn't afraid of changing things up over the existing formula. In fact, it relishes in it. I don't think it's hyperbole to say this is my favorite JRPG of all time, and that's coming from somebody with a Chrono Trigger tattoo on his chest. If you're wanting to join in the series for the first time, this is a great place to do it. You don't have to know all of the lore, all the backstory, every single character that comes up. If you're a long-standing fan of Persona, however, I can't see you being disappointed. A lot of the characters that you expect to return will return, and some of them have new and interesting stories to tell. So, what did you guys think? Did you enjoy Persona 5 as much as I did? Is it possible to enjoy Persona 5 as much as I did? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening, guys. This is actually my very first video review, so I'm really excited to see how it went down. I really enjoyed making it, but what would you like to see more of? Is there anything you'd like to change? Let me know, and I will see you next time.